Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello and welcome to Forgot to Save, our weekly podcast where Stone and I get together and we play the games that for some reason we just never got around to playing, and then we spend some time talking about it. That's not the exact introduction we typically do, but it was pretty darn close.
That was a one take.
Yeah, but I definitely missed some lines, but I am good with it.
That means it's a bad luck episode.
This is going to go...
Everyone, get ready for the worst episode of Forgot to Save.
Which is saying a lot. This is episode number 7? 6. 7.
Oh my God. We are on it. Yeah, we've already proven we have terrible memories time and time again. But yes, this is 7.
This is 7. Okay.
Because you're odd episodes.
Right.
I'm even.
Yes. I am the odd one. We have a lot to talk about today. Just in case you forgot, 2 episodes ago is when I presented Stone with my list of games that we're going to play, and he chose System Shock.
Yes, you suggested all shooters was your theme.
Which was very unlike me, but I wanted to kind of go unconventional and truly dive into a genre that I don't have the most experience with, which would potentially be one of the more fruitful categories for us to play.
Visual novels.
Yeah, absolutely. Dating sims. No, I'm just kidding. I have some experience with those.
Yeah. A lot of dating sims now actually do like really interesting meta commentary. So it's like, like Doki Doki Literature Club is one of the most popular, where it's like the point of it is not a dating sim, I
don't know, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's a lot of like a lot of dating sim games turn into horror or some other like meta commentary greater than the point of a dating sim. Very few dating sims now are like just dating sims.
Huh. Then why would you play that?
Because it's a fun twist on a genre that would otherwise get stale.
Would it though?
And quite frankly, feels uncomfortable to play because most of them take place in like high schools and stuff.
Yeah, but then it sounds like these games are trying to tell me that I don't need someone else, that I can be comfortable in my own skin and by myself. And that's just fundamentally untrue.
I disagree.
That's
why lizards shed their skin.
You were right about this podcast going downhill, but we are going to...
Yeah, let's talk about your relationship.
We are... Listen, I'm glad you asked. No, we're going to be talking about System Shock, but that always comes towards the tail end because that's our hook, sure. Right? You have to wade through the nonsense that's going to spew out of our mouths for the next 30 minutes or so.
I have to say, I guess peek behind the curtain if people don't know. It's not really an important fact, but I am the one that edits the podcast. So if there's something you guys don't like, direct your hate toward me. But I thought, as I believe you thought, both of us having such a bad time with Broken Sword that it might not make for the best episode. And I have to say, of the ones we had published at that time, I can't remember what the others went like because I haven't edited them yet, but that was probably like our best one. So maybe it's a lot of nonsense we're talking, but I think sometimes it comes out pretty well.
Every now and then we say something or we converse about something that actually has a kind of a skosh of merit, if you will.
Sure.
And it's worth listening to. And everything else, it's filler. It's bottle episodes. But, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah, and for me, that's one thing, and it's a D word.
It's dating sim, which we've already covered.
Yep. Doki Doki Literature Club.
Doki Digimon.
Okay.
And I said it. So let's kind of recap this week. So there's some, I think, news that we should probably talk about. Maybe not all the best of news, but we'll get there. I
know what you mean.
I know that Stone doesn't always like me to kind of pull back the curtain, but just to put it into context, today is January 26th.
Outed again.
I know. I'm sorry, but I think it's necessary because if we're going to talk about relevant events, we do record these ahead of time. That way, we can stay ahead of the curve and we can try and release these regularly every Monday morning, except for when Blue just forgets to upload it.
Yes,
Stone does all the work. He is basically an unpaid intern, and then I forget to upload it on time. So,
but you did promise to pay me an exposure.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. I didn't quantify or qualify that exposure, but yes, right. You will be exposed.
It turns out I've gotten skin cancer.
So it's January 26th. But before we get into the kind of what's been going on, what have you been playing?
Oh man, it's been an incredibly busy time since we last recorded. I told you about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now that sounds very serious, and I did not mean to make that sound serious. I just had a lot of car trouble.
Life's been lifing.
Yeah, it's but what have I been playing? Oh my god. I am so excited to tell you what I've been playing because since we last spoke, not once, but 2 separate times, I have played brand new content in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
What?
There have been 2 sets of spirit events that happen in Super Smash Bros. So it's just like very minor content. Like spirits in Super Smash Bros. Are pretty much as little PNGs that you collect, but you do it by having like super customized fights you go through. And since it's the 25th anniversary of Super Smash Bros., it just happened the other day. They have started making another set of spirits. The first set had like Pikmin 4, Xenoblade 3, Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm blanking on the 4th one, but it was another game that released since Smash Ultimate stopped making DLC. And then this week, actually, to everyone's surprise, one of the spirits they added was Zagreus from Hades.
Wow.
Which like completely came out of left field. So yes, I just played that maybe 2 hours before we spoke, the most recent set. I'm obsessed in that game. I've collected every single spirit, which I think at this point is like 1,560.
What?
And then I've also leveled them all up to the max level. So I love Super Smash Brothers. I put a ton of time into it, and I try to collect all the spirits. So it's actually very exciting to get these new events, no matter how minor they are.
So I have 2 follow-up questions about the spirits.
Sure.
The first one is just because I don't know. What does leveling up the spirits do?
Leveling up the spirits. Okay, so let's say Zagreus, for example. I forget what his fight actually was, but there's a board of spirits. There's 8 spirits on it, and you choose which one you want to fight. If I choose that one, it might be like, I remember his. It had 3 lives. The enemy has 3 lives. It is a character that is most closely associated with their fighting style. So, for instance, he was represented by Marth from Fire Emblem, and he had very low health on the first life. And the second life, he had more health. And the third life, he had the most health and would randomly get his final smash very suddenly to kind of represent the mechanics of Hades as best as they can in Smash. And then every spirit is assigned a type. So like it's a rock, paper, scissors thing. And for ease of explaining it, it's like red, blue, green. So like he was a red spirit. So the point of collecting and leveling up spirits is to exploit that rock, paper, scissors mechanic, and every spirit has a certain amount of power that adjusts your fighter's parameters when it's equipped to them. So like I, being a diehard Geno fan, always have Geno as the max level as my spirit, and then every spirit has a certain number of slots that you can equip some game-altering mechanics. So like I will play as Geno with like the giant zap fish from Splatoon that makes it so you start every game as though you got a mega mushroom, you know? And they like alter the way that you play the game, and there's like fun, original, quick hit content. So the point of leveling them up is to be able to kind of make your own set of unique circumstances for your own fighter to counter the unique circumstances for whatever battle you're in. So it's like very customizable.
So, second question, what does leveling the spirits do? No, wow. So, okay, I guess in my head, I truly thought that spirits were just some sort of cosmetic, almost like a sticker that you collect.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you could customize them like that, and it's almost like creating a build.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you equip a main one, and then you can equip subsequent ones, and that just changes the amount of stat boosts you get. Think of it like equipping a different set of armor.
Sure.
And then it has accessory slots. That's pretty much what spirits are.
That is pretty cool. So I guess my other question, and this is just if you want to speak freely about what you think. What would drive the creators of this game to release new content? I understand they're celebrating, but from a business standpoint, I mean, is this going to drive additional game sales?
I believe so. Smash and Mario Kart 8 and Animal Crossing still move a lot of units even today. Mario Kart 8 especially. It's like the best-selling game in Nintendo history, you know?
Sure.
So Smash still moves a lot of units, and they just released a Smash-themed Nintendo OLED. So I think they're incentivizing people who maybe picked up that OLED during the holidays to get more use out of the game they attach to it. And I have some theories as to why that may be the case. They are far-fetched theories.
I mean, do you want to lay any of them on us?
No, we still have to talk about System Shock this episode.
True. Okay.
So we don't have the time.
All right.
No, there are a lot of reasons why Smash is ramping up. I mean, controllers that were disconnected, dedicated to Smash, are being reproduced and stuff. The Smash dedicated console, whatever. I think the point of it is just to get a number of daily active users, and Smash especially is one of their biggest online games that users keep returning to. So I think it's a way, I would imagine that Smash has a high attach rate of Nintendo's online service. So I think the point of doing that is because, one, Bandai Namco usually handles the development of Smash Ultimate. So this is something that is outsourced. It's not draining Nintendo first-party resources. And two, they are pretty easy to develop from an outsider's perspective. It is changing some parameters on a specific battle and assigning an official PNG art made by another company that you're just getting the permission to use. Okay. Most often first-party Nintendo stuff.
Okay.
Now, this particular set that just happened, it just released today, was all third-party.
Which was Hades.
So, yeah,
okay.
Hades, Atlas gave 13 Sentinels, which is their new visual novel game. And I don't know if you've heard of Power Play Baseball. They're like little chibi characters. It's huge in Japan. But yeah, those three are the ones that that had spirits today. So people were expecting more content, but people were not expecting third-party content, even if it's just a PNG.
All right.
And it's just like especially noteworthy because like Super, now I'm confusing again, Supergiant or Supermassive, but they're an indie company, you know? So it's like cool to get an indie company involved in Smash, even if it's just for a PNG.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not all I was playing. I just
Supergiant,
I played that. What? Say again?
Supergiant for Hades.
Supergiant.
I had to look it up.
Thank you. You're correct. Next time I talk about it, I will confuse them again.
Right. No, I know.
But yeah, that's not all I've been playing. That occupied maybe in the last 3 weeks, maybe an hour and a half total. But other than that, playing Fire Emblem. Still playing my Three Houses run. I played Pal World for a considerable amount of time.
You
after
did?
We last recorded. Yeah.
Okay.
It was really fun. I had a group of about 6 people I played with. It's exactly what I was expecting. I played it on the Game Pass first to make sure I wasn't going to spend my money on like asset flip garbage.
Sure.
And it is to me, it's a slight tier above asset flip garbage.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it wants to be Breath of the Wild so badly with like Fortnite mixed into it, but it's whatever. It's a fun thing to do with my friends.
Okay.
You know, I don't think it's a masterpiece. I'm not crazy. I'm not one of these ride or die. I'm already tired of hearing about it, but I had fun playing with my friends, and I'm probably going to play a little bit more.
Nice.
Yeah,
I was going to bring that up. If that didn't come up this episode, then we were doing something wrong.
Yeah, we could talk about that in the news because there's a lot to talk about. Yes. But I feel like people have like exhausted the conversation already.
Probably.
I've already muted that. I've already muted the word Pal World on Twitter. Like on day one. And then obviously I've been playing the tabletop campaign, which is why we're recording on a Friday today instead of yesterday. But the final thing, the icing on the cake here, as I said, I edit the previous episodes. The last one I edited, we were talking about the Wonder Swan a lot, and then we were also talking about the PSP. There was a picture going around I saw this on Twitter because somebody I follow had retweeted it. It is somebody using a PSP as a GPS. Did you see this?
No.
Yeah. There's a picture going around of somebody in, I think it's like a Japanese cab. I don't remember if the text on the GPS was in Japanese. But yeah, somebody just had like a car mount for a PSP on their windshield and was using it as a GPS.
What?
And it was really cool. And then a lot of people in the comments were talking about how cheap it is to get a PSP now. So I looked it up, and I found one with a broken screen for like $30.
Okay.
I was like, this is perfect because I would probably replace it with an IPS screen, and I have an extra SD card sitting around. I just need a converter. So I ended up getting a PSP, and I love it. I have the Vita, so like I had all the games I wanted to play already, but I just can't get over the aesthetic of it. I think it's such a beautiful console, and just feeling it again, I think it's a great thickness for my hands. I think it's the right weight. And just like all the buttons are so responsive, and it's got like a great analog stick. I just love the PSP. So I had to finally own one for myself.
Wow. So have you already switched the screen or not yet?
Screen hasn't gotten here yet.
Okay.
I just got the actual console yesterday.
Okay.
I charged up the battery and everything. I'm going to get a new battery. This is a PSP model 1001 because it's the only one compatible with the IPS screen.
Okay.
But it worked out. It had a broken screen. I was planning on replacing it anyway, so I got a deal as far as I'm concerned. Because like the body and the buttons are in excellent condition.
Sure. Wow.
So I'm really excited. I got it charged up the best I could see through the broken screen. I reset it to system default, but we'll see how that works when I replace it. But I'm gonna put custom firmware on it, and then I've already downloaded all the games I'm gonna throw on the console. So I'm very excited. But I'll probably never play it after I have it because I just want to display it, and I have everything on my Vita already.
See, and this is the thing that kills me about Sony. PSP and the Vita, they are quality handheld consoles. Mm-hmm. They fumbled, in the West at least, they fumbled those launches and the marketing so terribly. There is absolutely zero reason why Sony shouldn't give Nintendo a run for their money in the handheld market. I believe that entirely, and I'm looking at you, the PlayStation Portal, for what is it? I think it retails for $200.
Oh yeah,
I believe $200. Okay, fine, $200. But what you see is not what you get. You're not getting a Sony handheld device. You're getting a way to stream your PlayStation game, which is a cool feature, but it should be a feature, not a selling point.
Right. It could be like a hyper-specific NVIDIA Shield. It
Right.
could have its own processor. It could, but they fumbled it so hard. You're completely right.
Honestly, slap another $50, even $100 onto this device. Make it a $300 handheld, but make this exact device be able to run its own brand of handheld games. Let it play natively, and let it stream my PlayStation 5. Now I'm considering.
I wouldn't even say its own brand of handheld games. Just give it access to the online service that you already created.
Yep. You're right.
And I feel like now, I'm not speaking from a place of a lot of experience, but it seems like it's pretty easy to put a mobile, like a cell phone receiver in it. Like you could get 5G on a unit, I assume, pretty cheaply, just based on the number of like Alibaba devices you could get.
Doesn't Sony know of Temu?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm bummed.
They fumbled it a lot. I love playing the Yakuza games, but I'm very slow to get through them. And I feel like if I had that portable device, I could maybe have it set up and, between like super slow times at work, if I'm waiting on emails or something, I could pop it on and play it. But it's not worth $200 by any stretch, especially if the streaming quality is going to be bad.
Yep.
I'm two floors away from my PlayStation.
Exactly. But maybe one day. I don't know.
But yes, you're right. The PSP should have dominated. I think they started to try to branch themselves away from the perception of handheld gaming being for kids when they did the PSP Go. But I don't think because they added you could get a cell phone plan with like Verizon and AT&T and play the PSP anywhere. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely.
Yeah. So the Go like could be a mobile unit as well. And I think they were starting to be like, look, we're for like your transit, your commute to work, and stuff like that. But you're right, they completely fumbled it in the West.
They really did.
Possibly partially attributed to our lack of public transport. I won't make it a political discussion, but the infrastructure in Japan is much more conducive to an environment where you can do a little bit of mobile gaming when you have downtime.
That does make a lot of sense. We are starting to see, and I know we're kind of drifting, into other areas, and that's okay. I think we are starting to see, though, a lot more focus on mobile gaming, but not just mobile gaming like you're used to with, your Candy Crush and all that, but especially on iOS, I'm seeing some big Death Stranding is coming out.
Yeah, I fear that you may not have been paying as much attention then, because I feel like mobile gaming has been big since probably about 2016, 2017, especially marked by, help me out, Genshin Impact.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, that's true.
And that is a fully fledged, you could say whatever you want about its originality, but it's a fully fledged video game on mobile phones, and it has incredible success. They just came out with Honkai Star Rail, which is a fully fledged RPG. These go toe-to-toe with console games. In fact, Genshin Impact is on PS4. I don't know if it's on PS5 as well. But yes, I am surprised that we are seeing processors that can handle stuff like Death Stranding, like you're saying. We're absolutely at another tier.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the amount of IPs, well-known IPs, that have really good mobile games to them. They may not all be in America, but absolutely the franchise is there. I mean, I'm a huge Persona fan. Persona 5 X is coming out. It's in beta right now, but it's a full Persona 5 game with brand new characters and a brand new story, and it's completely playable. It's only for iOS and Android.
Yeah, I guess I should have reworded. You're right. I mean, mobile gaming has been an incredibly booming industry for years now. I guess in my head, I was more thinking of we're starting to see AAA titles, like console-specific games that are now Death Stranding. The Resident Evil franchise is making its way, you just said, Persona, among others. And you're also seeing some more peripherals coming out, like the Backbone. You see, what was the NVIDIA one?
I'm unfamiliar with I don't know the Backbone.
Oh, so the Backbone. Backbone's pretty cool. Backbone is if you take the PlayStation Portal and you take the screen out and you put your phone there.
Oh.
And they make some for iOS, but they also make some now for USB-C, and so it works across.
I have one.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Actually, when I first got my PS5, I have a folding phone. Mm-hmm. So I think open up, it's like an 11.5-inch display. I don't no, that seems way too big. I don't know exactly.
That's a standard piece of college line paper.
Yeah, I 100% said the wrong thing. That was 100% on me. I'm an idiot. But you open the phone, so I thought it would be a fun thing to stream the PS5 from. So I used one of those, I guess Backbone, you can call it, but it just plugs into the USB-C on the bottom of your phone, and then you can use it as a controller. And I would stream my PlayStation and my Xbox to my phone.
And did it work
Steam
well?
Link. At first, I had issues with the PlayStation not accepting it.
Okay.
It only accepted DualShocks for a bit. Xbox worked really well, but now I'm having issues using the Xbox app for it anymore. Steam Link worked great. No issues there. Yeah. And then I would play I own Stardew on every console, including my phone. So I would just play Stardew and stuff on my phone.
Nice. So you asked what I've been playing. You didn't, but I'm going to loop it back around. I don't have as much to say as you do, but what have I been playing? I've been playing some System Shock. No surprise there. Dabbling in some of the other games that I have been featuring on the channel. So, of course, Dark Souls 2 and Elden Ring. I got a chance to catch up on a lot of my some indie games and just some other games that are coming out soon that publishers have sent my way. And I have this problem where I tend to just say yes. So if a publisher reaches out to me and say, hey, BlueLizardJello / Mike, we were watching your newest video. No, you weren't. You're a liar. But keep going. And we think it'd be a really great fit for this game. Do you want to check it out? And I just reply, yes. And then they send me the game, and then I never get around to it. And I feel kind of bad because that key could have gone to someone else who was going to check it out, right? So I've been making this concerted effort to really just do one-offs on some of these games. And I have had the chance to play some fantastic titles lately. Really and truly great games.
I will say that you told us this last week.
Well, but there's more.
Good.
There's more.
Good.
One of them that I'm really excited to share, and the video is already out. It is a game called Deathbound, and it is a Souls-like that I have been following on Twitter, and I'm in their Discord, and I've been in there a while. Their demo's coming out publicly on February 5th. It's Steam's Next Fest again, and they'll have a demo, and they sent me a demo early to check out. And it's a super, first off, the plot, the story intrigues me because it is a civilization where it's basically faith versus science and the clashes that come from that. And I'm hoping it's a bit more nuanced than that because right now it seems like they're just, at each other's throats. I would love to see a little bit of give and take, but as someone who has grown up with both education and real world experience in both faith and science, that always intrigues me. But also just the premise of the game itself is really cool. It's, if you've played any of these games, maybe it makes sense, but it's kind of like Mortal Shell meets Thymesia meets Souls-like or Dark Souls. In that your character is not just a single character. You actually technically are playing as a party of 4 at the same time. But you only are, air quotes around that, one character at a time, and then you can switch to any of the other 3 with just a single button. And you can use that to do morph attacks, kind of like somewhat I think they're called chain attacks in FF15. Is that what they're called? What they call chain attacks or link attacks?
Yeah.
One of those. Anyway, so like if you're in the middle of a combo and you have enough energy built up, you can hit a button to instantly switch to one of your other characters and come in with a devastating combo. You can also like hit one button and it'll switch to the character with the most stamina, so you can just continue your combo. That's really cool. But also, I think one of my most loved features of the game is that because it is very much, faith versus science, your characters have different backgrounds. Some of them are more on the side of faith, some are more on the side of science, and they will have these synergies if they have a similar background, or they will have, I forget what they call it. Basically, they're at odds, and you will have some sort of debuff if you have them kind of grouped together.
Sure.
And it really plays into some really interesting mechanics. Like you actually have to set up a party, and it's as simple as just, you have a diamond with the 4 slots, and depending on where you put them, they might have a synergy between these 2 characters, but they have a debuff between these 2. And I don't know. I really like the way that it's playing out. And the demo I played is, according to them, and it even says in the bottom left, it is pre-alpha. And for pre-alpha, it played really well.
Yeah, I'm looking at the combat trailer on Steam right now. I do see the mix of like faith and science, because I see like a man doing like an ice Kamehameha and then switch immediately to like a ninja that like slashes them open when they're frozen. Yeah, which is cool. But I was looking at this. I had to click on this studio because this looks like a decent quality title, unlike a AA looking title. Yes. Just from the very brief, and I know trailers are supposed to look better than the actual game, but having your gameplay experience makes me think, this is probably one to look out for. Yeah, and I'd have to go through and, of course, look at the members of the team, but it's Trial Forge Studio. This is their first and only game so far, and they have a team of about 15 or so, 15 or 20 people. I don't know, of course, what their background is like individually, but for their first game as a dev, that's
Yeah, I'm excited, and we don't have a date yet. They did say 2024, but we'll probably know more soon. And they also did say already they're aiming for about 15 hours in length, which I want more games in that time frame. I really do.
Yeah, it's beefier than most AAA you're seeing now, like single player story focus. Yeah, I'm on their website. Looks like they have 21. They list out literally every team member.
Okay,
they have 21 people, and it looks like Deathbound is like the only project they're showing off. So I hope for good things. I hope this is a good start for a new studio, because what we need right now are indie studios.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
It's not working out with the big guys.
Yep. And it's cool to be Souls-like, because obviously that's going to turn some heads, but put something unique in it, which they are certainly doing. So I'm excited about that. What else? I dabbled in Diablo 4. The new season came out. I
sucked you back in.
It didn't. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Diablo 4. I don't know how many hours I have in Diablo 3. I adored that game. But as our mutual friend Gladdy likes to say, the carrot on the stick for me just doesn't last. He will sink 3,000 hours into a single character, always chasing after, I just got this one piece of ancient legendary and I got an extra 3 damage to my weapon that deals 4.8 million. Like, it's that kind of minutia that they chase. For me, I've never been about endgame content. I'm all about progression and builds. And once I've achieved that, I'm good. I'm ready to either start over or move on to something else. I was excited for Diablo 4. I played a ton of it when it came out with Gladdy and our other friend Tree, who Tree likes to listen to the podcast. So hi, Tree. But the other night when it came out, I told her, I said, look, I'm going to jump on. Let's play together. And we did. And we ran through the new season campaign in about 3 hours. And I don't know. I might not touch it again until season 4 comes out. Now, for me, that's fine, because it's not like I'm paying for each season. What is exciting, though, is that unlike in Diablo 3, and of course the other Diablos before that, the seasons do have story elements to it. They do have a brand new campaign. You might not go to new locations, but they have new NPCs, new creature designs, and they have a number of missions lasting, between 2 and 4 hours for you to run through, and of course new gear, new mechanics, etc. And I don't know, I played it, it was a blast, but really I did it because I wanted to play with my friend Tree. I did, we had a great time, and I regret nothing. Not that you asked if I regretted it, but
I was actually about to.
So tell me what you regretted this week.
Well, my car.
Well, but hey, we're on the downward slope, right? You've crested. You're into cruise control now. That's my hope for you.
Well done. Well done.
That's a car reference.
Yeah. Whoa.
Right?
Mechanics, car talk, look out. Here we come.
And I guess the other thing that I've been playing outside of actual games, video games, is Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd live to see the day.
As soon as an hour ago.
Yeah, that's right. I was actually at the game shop. If you're ever in Warwick, Rhode Island, please visit Game On and tell Pat BlueLizardJello said hello. He won't know who you're talking about, but it'll still be pretty cool. I was just there.
Pat just puts up a sign. Please stop. I don't know this person.
One day it's gonna slip out. He'll know. He'll know. But we were there, and I was just telling Stone this before we even hit record. The game itself is fine. I'm having fun with it. I'm learning, but I am absolutely there for the community aspect, and I don't think I've ever met friendlier people in my entire life. Just when you get a group of people together who are so passionate about any given topic and so welcoming to new players, it's hard not to just get sucked in. And that's what I'm experiencing. We go there, I take Pro Mini Moshi. We go in there, and it's just immediately like, oh, it's so nice to see you guys here. Here's a table. What do you want to play? Let me get someone for you. And it doesn't matter if you buy anything, which is just crazy to me.
Yeah. Oh, they know they'll get you.
Oh, of
Once
course
you're
they
in a
do. Of
game.
course they do. But there's,
No, that's not why they do it. I'm just kidding.
I mean, when I went there and learned, we ended up walking out with something like 150 cards between the two of us that they just gave to us.
Yeah.
I told them, I was like, I want to buy something from you so I can help support you. They're like, well, then come back and buy stuff. But for now, take these home, go learn, and you'll be
Go
back.
get card sleeves. Yeah.
Right? So, but
It's so cool, but
It
it is
is.
also so funny to be like, we just had a conversation about you like ditching D&D for you to turn around and pick up Magic.
yes. However, a couple things about that. A dear friend of ours and listener of the podcast, Grackle Flint, he actually reached out to talk to me after I was going to share this before we recorded, but I can share it now. He actually reached out after that episode of the podcast went live where I talked about how I broke up with my D&D group, and he wanted to know more about it. And he was asking me questions about what do I think kind of took me out of the experience, and what do I think could be done moving forward. So we talked a good bit. Because we actually tried to run a campaign with him. You did it a lot more than I did back in the day. What was it? Not Heroes and Villains, but
Villains and Vigilantes.
that's what it was. Villains and
The,
Vigilantes.
The issue you were referring to is commonly referred to as crunch. So when you hear that a system is crunchy,
Yes.
that's a lot of time. There's like a lot of intricate mechanics.
Yep.
V&V is an extremely crunchy game. So
Well, and that's certainly part of it. And then the other was just I don't think I'm a very creative person. Other people disagree, but I don't find myself to be very creative. I guess maybe in my own mind or in certain ways I'm not good at theater of the mind. Now, if I'm reading a good book, I can picture everything in vivid detail. But if I'm playing a game like D&D, which is supposed to be, high fantasy and magic and beautiful nature all around, and all I'm doing, and this is no offense to the group that I was playing with, if all I'm doing is sitting at my desk, I'm on webcam, they're on webcam, and that's all I see, it's hard for me to become immersed in that world.
sure.
And then when I go down to the game store, again, Game On in Warwick, Rhode Island, and I see people playing tabletop games where they have these elaborate three-dimensional structures. They're playing, I think Battletech was one group that was playing.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
completely
word.
different. That's not exactly role play, but yes.
No, it's not. But just to see that they have these interactive models and just the
Yeah.
set pieces that blew me away. And I thought, if I had something like that for D&D, I have no doubt in my mind that it would be one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, but stay away from those tabletop war games, or else you will not have a home for your family anymore.
But it's just been a cool experience, and it's something for Mini Moshi and I to bond over, which has been great.
So fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast. But that's what I got.
Very cool.
We've been
I'm happy
talking
you have
for
that
40
experience.
minutes.
Yeah, none of it's interesting. I'll just cut it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello, and we'll get
Oh my
started
god,
now.
is he going to do it twice in one episode?
Two
First try?
perfect intros. First try.
Okay, I know there was some news you may have wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to just briefly touch on one of them quick, and then we'll
Yeah.
do the System Shock.
Yeah, so, and I didn't even know really what to talk about other than to just address it. We've already talked about it before with 2023 being, unfortunately, infamously known for layoffs in the gaming industry. Mm-hmm. And my gosh, as of today, 2024, we are 26 days into the year, and we are already more than half of the total number of layoffs as 2023 had in the industry.
Sure.
It is absolutely astronomical. Microsoft alone let 1,900 people go.
Sure. I mean, obviously, won't try not to get political, but this is expected. I'm not shocked by this news. I'm never shocked by the callousness of it either.
Oh, sure.
This is an industry that has found 100 different ways to try to insert AI to replace artists,
Yep.
to replace voice actors, to replace script writers. There's no protection for people in the industry. Sorry, I should say very little protection against these kind of things. There are no gaming unions. That's why a lot of these people set up base in America, And it's expected. They're looking for the best way to take advantage of people. Hopefully, again, like I said last time we discussed this, they are working on skills that are transferable to making their own indie titles and stuff. And hopefully they can get big enough that they find success, but small enough that Tencent doesn't acquire them.
Right. I think what really blew me away, other than just the sheer number, because again, 2023 was a shock to a lot of people. Maybe not to you. Maybe you saw the writing on the wall, but for people like me who are a bit more out of touch business sense wise, definitely hit pretty hard. But 2024, again, to have already half of 2023's layoffs are crazy. But what really got me was looking at all of the projects that were impacted with Microsoft. So far, I don't think we have confirmation on this, but it's almost all but confirmed. They got rid of their entire physical media team. Microsoft, they're certainly going to be pursuing an all digital future in the immediate future. And 2, they had a survival game that had been in development for, I think, 6 years, canceled. And the team, of course, entirely let go.
I had not heard that. The writing's been on the wall about physical media for a while. Yeah. I've been trying to scoop up the Switch games I still want to own physically before the second one is announced. But Microsoft has been very clear in their push toward an all digital future. They granted excellent infrastructure with their xCloud and Game Pass that I think people won't mind the blow immediately. I mean, the people that collect physical media is more and more a minority.
Sure.
I mean, the majority, I would believe, of people using these services are people that want to play the new COD and they want to play FIFA, you know?
Yeah.
They don't care about owning every copy of FIFA on their shelf. They most of the time leave it open and it has the wrong game disc in it anyway. So I'm sure in all digital future, the people that really care about collecting physical media are going to be the vocal minority. I side with them. I also believe in physical media. I think when you have all digital media, it's out of your hands what you can collect. That's why I take the time to mod old consoles and have the entire library that I want. But entirely unsurprised by that news. The shift from retailers, as we talked about before, has been that Walmart, Best Buy removing physical media spaces. It's shelf space that's being taken up for very little. And you and I worked in retail. We know how important the shelf space is to people. They are willing to pollute and add all kinds of extra packaging to make it more appealing on the shelf. This is all nothing new. It comes as no surprise. It's sad news. That's the state of, I think
the canceled game is what really got me. And I'm
still waiting on Scalebound, brother.
And any day now. Any day. It's going to get announced along with the Elden Ring DLC.
Yeah.
They're going to announce it's canceled. Again, it's double canceled.
Yeah.
But the survival game, and this is, I know we got to get System Shock. I know. I didn't realize we had so much to talk about. But the canceled game, I think it was something like 6 years in development, some sort of survival game. It's supposed to be like a more whimsical, a departure from what Activision is typically known for. And they canceled it. And I just couldn't help but think of other titles that have been canceled kind of in the 11th hour. Like, Supergirl, right? Or Supergirl movie, right?
Are you talking about movies?
Yeah.
There have been 3 major ones recently.
Really?
Batgirl is what you're thinking of.
Batgirl, thank you.
Batgirl, that sci-fi movie with Halle Berry was just canceled last week.
Yeah.
And the Looney Tunes movie, who?
Oh, Coyote versus Acme?
Coyote versus Acme, that's what it was, yeah. And I think, actually, I saw a point that would, I think, be excellent, but obviously not realistic at all, that these projects that are canceled as tax write-offs should just become public domain automatically.
Oh, that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. I guess I
wish... Sorry.
I guess my only thought is, okay, with these they were, at least Batgirl was pretty much, I think it was done, even edited and ready.
So was Coyote. Yeah.
It was? Okay. And then this game obviously wasn't ready to ship yet, but it must have been close. And I just think, okay, from an operating cost, and I do understand sunk cost fallacy. I think this is not the first time that's uttered my mouth or left my mouth in the podcast. But at some point, isn't it better to just get it to market to recoup something? No? You know?
No. If you think about, look, obviously a lot of time went into this game, but after 6 years, you have to imagine the reason for a development taking that long that comes to mind to me is engine switching or the entire scope changes. And that brings a lot of problems down the pipeline. And if you consider the risk, the reputational risk of releasing that, as opposed to canning it, I can see, not to stand up for the corporations, but I can see why that's the case. Look at Redfall. Eventually they said, we just have to put this game out. And then look at the reputational damage it did to them.
That's fair.
So I don't like that this is canceled. I think all of the employees that would have worked on this, that it was canned and they were released as a result of that, should be entitled to take those mechanics and ideas that they had worked on in that game and apply them to future projects with no penalty. Obviously, how do you regulate that? What company would do that? I don't know. I'm just saying in a perfect world. But I can see this time why it's justified, because the gaming industry is special as far as media goes, because no other industries except now maybe Stanley Cups do people like pledge allegiance to a company. They ride or die for a company nonstop. But in gaming, you see that all the time. It's the dumbest thing. I hate it so much. We're seeing it with Power World now, right? Like people have to ride for Big Daddy Pokemon because who's going to defend them? But it's like in gaming, I think you can be made or break by a bad release. People have soured on Bethesda after even being on top of their game when Oblivion and Skyrim came out. Like, people love them to death, but now they've seen the light enough that it's like Bethesda titles, people are waiting longer and longer to jump into them.
Sure. I have one last thing that I have to share, only because I literally just saw it. I just happened to glance at my phone. I shouldn't have done that. And this is something news just broke 5 hours ago. I promise, it has nothing to do with anything you care about. But there is a indie developer. She is not really well known in the Souls-like community, but she made the really cool Bloodborne PSX game.
Yes.
And I played it. It was a blast. Botster is her handle. She's been working on Bloodborne Kart for a few years now. And
I remember this, yeah.
It started as a meme because everyone always says, oh, Sony's going to announce Bloodborne Kart. And so she said, forget it, I'm just going to make it. And she's been making it, and it looks amazing. She has all of the characters in their wonderful pixel images. And 5 hours ago, she just announced, well, it happened. Sony contacted me.
No way.
Long story short, I need to scrub the branding off of what was previously known as Bloodborne Kart, which we will do, but it requires a short delay. Her game was supposed to come out in a little over a week. She's been completely vocal about this game for literal years at this point, and Sony just, speaking of 11th hour, is like, hey, by the way, it's got to go. So, and she's taken it so well. She's just going to, of course, change some of the character modeling and the branding, of course, and she'll still go about releasing it, but just
yeah, that's always heartbreaking when companies like try to stipend creativity. It only enhances your brand.
Right.
Rarely is there going to be a really bad mod or something that comes out and people are going to think, why would Sony release this?
Right.
They know it's on modders,
right?
You know?
And there's no confusing. She's not modding Bloodborne to have kart racing in it. Not even close. I mean, and I get it. It's it is their IP, and she's even said in multiple interviews, like, I'm just waiting for Sony's cease and desist letter. But
there are a lot of franchises that do this excellently. Sonic comes to mind, obviously, where as long as you're very open about this being a fan project, not affiliated with Sega, and you're not taking any money from it. Halo actually does this as well. Then they are completely fine with it. Halo, so much so that they added modding to the MCC so that you could just mod the game and throw it right in the Steam Workshop.
That's awesome.
As long as you're not profiting from it, and they have some specific guidelines. But IPs that just say they have a page you can go to that's like, these are our content creation guidelines for mods, perfect.
Yeah.
But, I mean, bro, this is a meme, like
Right.
multiverses existed because of the Shaggy memes.
Yes.
So it's like this can only help your brand because if the game sucks, then everybody knows it was a fan-made game that sucks.
Now, unless Sony is working on their own Bloodborne cart right now.
Yeah, and then that's obviously the memes that sprout up, but but then it only it's fleeting,
Well, Botster, if you're listening, I wish you all the best, and I'll still be playing it when it comes out regardless.
Right, the quality of that Bloodborne PlayStation demake was excellent. I am a lover of the early 3D era. I don't play those games, but I absolutely loved watching playthroughs of them. Excellent work. Keep it up. Obviously, it seems like you were expecting this, but don't get down about it,
I think it's time.
Okay, System Shock. I'm going to maybe go out on a limb and say that we put a timestamp to get right to this discussion. So welcome if you came from that.
Well, let's just, I was just going to say, why don't we just say whether we liked it or not, and then we'll just wrap up.
All right.
Yeah, I thought.
Okay.
Sorry. Do you want to go?
On the count of 3?
Okay, 3.
We'll say exactly in depth, okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I thought it was pretty good.
I really like this game, but honestly hated every second of playing it.
Tune in next week. No. Okay. Well, so you said you really liked the game and hated every second playing.
Sure. That's very true. This game was 100% not made for me. That said, this game is awesome. It's a really cool, really good game, and I would encourage you to play it. But just my play style, the things I like, I can go in more into it, but I did not have fun with this game at any point. I played the remake, I went back to the original, I put more sessions into both of them, and no matter the combination I did, it wasn't for me.
Okay.
But I would like to hear your experience.
Sure.
I have a lot of good things to say.
Yeah.
That said, I don't just want to be negative.
I don't know that I had anything as eloquent as what you just said, but hearing you describe your experience, mine was similar. I do think it's a very good game, and I think, okay, if I were to go back in time and I played this game when it first came out back in 1994, I think I would be hooked on this game.
The intro is a punch in the gut immediately.
Right?
The CG for 1994 and the voice acting is very good in the original game. It is so cool. It is very, very, very high quality for the time it existed.
Yeah. I think I would have been absolutely just suckered into this game, hook, line, and sinker, and I would have been just amazed at everything it had to offer. And I don't, and I think we use this phrase all the time, or at least I do. I don't think it holds up as well today. I think there are, even in the remake, because I only played the remake. I didn't touch the original. Stone did, so I'm going to let him speak a bit to that. But in the remake, there are so many aspects that I think they could have touched on to improve the quality of life. The combat is very, very stuffy and boring. And some might say, well, that's not really the point of the game. Well, it's a pretty big part of it, though.
I will say, having played both, to your point, it's difficult for me to say this and sound informed in any way, so I'm sorry if this comes off as ignorant, but it seems lazy. Like, there's a lot of corners cut in the remake. Like, the first thing that comes to mind, first of all, I don't think this is a good remake at all. But the first thing that comes to mind is the textures are awful.
They really are.
And they're awful, and then I read that, first I thought my thing was broken. I restarted it like 4 times, played with the different options, turned on and off DLSS, did everything. And it turns out they are just incredibly, not low quality, but intentionally low poly looking textures. And I had read that the reason they did that was to preserve the look of the old game, right? So if you hear that, you think, oh, then the old game had a distinct visual look that they're preserving. So I went back and I played the old game, and there is nothing that sets this apart from any other boomer shooter at this time. Like, texture-wise.
Okay, sure.
So there's nothing to preserve in a modern remake. It just comes across as lazy. It doesn't make the game look good. I was playing it like 4K, highest quality settings, everything, and it looked, I thought, awful. And it did not seem like it was to preserve. That seems like a cop-out to me. I thought my graphics card was broken when I started playing it. I like looked around the apartment and like there was like broken. It looked like broken textures on like the beer can and the pizza and stuff. It looked awful.
Huh.
But I think a lot of what's in the remake is remnants of. I'm going to say this because I'm exaggerating, but like hiding behind the fact that it's remaking an old game. And it comes across as like lazy and cutting corners.
Okay. It's funny. I think I was going to go into this conversation a lot more positive, and I'm not saying you're dissuading me from that, but I think you're speaking more to the things that I didn't really pay as much attention to, and now that you're saying it, I think, shoot, he's right.
Yeah,
he's right. And
let's talk about the good things.
Okay,
we'll come back. Sorry, you finish your thoughts. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Let's do it. Let's talk about the good things. For like you said, the intro, punch to the gut. They get the setting, and they get the feeling of what's going on in this time period, in the civilization, through the numerous audio logs, and that I'll touch on that in a second. They do it very, very well.
I think the voice acting is good.
Yeah.
If people sound distressed often. It's really good, and they're saying things that are interesting, and pretty much everywhere that you're finding the audio logs, the dialogue ends with them getting to that position.
Yes.
It's your dreaded theater of the mind.
Yep.
But then you see the end result.
Yeah.
And so that I like that. That's really fun to find the logs.
I do, yeah. I like that. They, of course, you get some hints in there, like, oh, I finally got the code to this one door. Or it talks about how, someone was going to stash some supplies in a room, and he marked the word here outside of it, and you actually find that room later on. I think the only, I know we're talking about positives, but what I ran into with the audio logs, I wasn't playing this game quickly. At least I don't think so. I was going slowly because, fun fact, our podcast is named Forgot to Save, and I messaged Stone shortly after we started playing, or after I started playing, and said, I just played for over an hour. I forgot to save, and I died. And this is the type of game, even in the remake, where there is no, well, there are autosaves, but I guess it's only in between chapters or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I didn't hit one of those, so I had to redo all that. So I took a couple days off at that point.
It takes the wind out of your sails.
It does. It always does for me, no matter what I'm playing.
My gameplay on screen pretty much ends when I game over.
When I was playing and I was taking my time and I was trying to understand the mechanics and collect everything, I would get an audio log, I would listen to it, and I don't know, 3 or 4 times while it was still playing, I have another one.
Yep.
And it felt, the pacing felt very off, like you're cramming way too much dialogue and story and background character development. You're ramming it down my throat faster than I can chew.
Yeah. And sometimes when you walk in certain corridors, the AI will interrupt.
Yep.
And if you have subtitles on, everything is scrambled. They're both playing at the same time. I saw... Okay, so full transparency, I played this for about 3 sessions, the remake. Mm-hmm. Each session I played about 30 minutes.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy it, but I really liked the game, so I watched a full playthrough of it.
Oh, you did?
So I watched somebody finish the game from start to finish.
Okay.
And I noticed when they were playing, a lot of times they would find the same audio log that they had already played before.
Really?
Like, I don't know if that's a bug or they set it up in multiple places to find it, but that is another issue that kept happening.
That's interesting. I never ran into that, but I played, I think all in all, I had about 4 hours of playtime on the game.
Great.
Some of that was repeated playing because I didn't save it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm bad at it, so I kept dying. So I played the same parts a lot.
I started saving quite often. Couple things though that I did really like. And I think this is maybe part of it being like an immersive sim, but I liked some of the mechanics that in any other game made today would be automated. For example, it's tedious, but I loved the recycler. I don't know if you got to the point where you found a recycler. Okay.
I have a strained relationship with it.
Okay.
I can explain.
But so you can collect just about everything, and your options, if it's junk, you can either vaporize it into scrap, which then you can turn into useful items later, or if you find a recycler, you can recycle it into credits, which you can then spend. But you have to, for the recycler, it has a limited inventory, just like you as a character do. You have to place the items in, and then you have to recycle it, and you have to take the scrap out, and you have to repeat that process. Whereas in a game now, you would just go up to a recycler and just, recycle all. Boom. Now scrap's in your inventory.
Sure.
I like the fact that I actually had to take the time. If I have an inventory to manage, it makes sense that so would the real world containers and devices in this game.
Yes.
I'll let you talk. Hold on. I need to talk about this because this is my favorite part. My favorite part, and it's stupid. It's the vending machine.
Okay.
I love that they have working vending machines. You have to go up. You have a menu, just like a vending machine. You put in your credits, and then you actually have to make the selection that you want, and it takes your money, and you get the item deposit. I know it's silly, but as soon as I ran into that for the first time, I thought, I want more of this. I want more.
And they can get wedged in the slot.
But
if you get too many out at the same time, you have to try to dig in through the...
Okay, that I didn't know.
No, not in like a bad way. I'm saying like an authentic vending machine experience.
Like it actually... I see.
They do, yeah.
But yeah, I liked that immersion. I don't know why, but it brought me more into the game than almost any other aspect did.
Sure. Yeah, I really like that there is scavenging in the game.
Yeah.
That there's stuff all over. You could pick it up, useful or not, because not all of this game, but 90% of this game's story is told through what you find around.
Yes.
And it creates a world. Like, it creates a nice, desolated world to explore in an abandoned space station. That would be like, it feels like this all actually happened, which is great. And it's fun to, like, scavenge the items and stuff. But from the little bit I was playing, I did find vending machines, and I was just like, it's not worth all of the effort I'm putting into it. like picking up all this stuff and scrapping it. And then it's like, okay, I haven't found vending machines that are super useful to me yet. Is there going to be something down the line? And then I watched this playthrough, and I was like, there was nothing down the line.
There was nothing else.
It's just like, so if I had known that from the beginning, I probably would have occasionally scrapped some stuff, but for the most part, just picked up logs and equipment and stuff that's scattered around the world. That said, adding scavenging to a boomer shooter, especially the fact this came out in 1994, excellent.
Sure.
Really unique, makes the world feel lived in. It's a really good mechanic. I don't think there's enough of a payoff to justify how cumbersome the system is. And cumbersome is definitely a word I would continue to use to describe this game when you're playing it. So yes. And another part of that scavenging system that I really like, you hinted at it a little bit through audio logs, but it's that stuff is missable.
Yes.
Like if you don't take the time to explore, you won't get everything, and it won't hurt you later, but it makes the game a little easier for you. But I like that stuff is just missable. You can just not find something, and your playthrough is completely different.
Now, one aspect that I have to bring up, because I'm a bit confused or torn on it. They have very, very little, like many games back in the 90s, very little in the way of tutorial. Not a whole lot of hand-holding, if any.
Sure.
But there was a section, and when I first played and I forgot to save and I had to redo it, the first time I played, I didn't even run into this area. And then the second time I did, and I thought, how did I miss this? There was a spot where you kind of put your head in this device and you enter like another... It's almost like you're playing
a cyberspace.
Yeah. I did that, and I got through it. I got to the end. I don't know what its purpose was.
So this leads me to another. I try to be positive, but this leads me to another complaint. First of all, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
It was like playing a first-person Geometry Wars. It was really fun.
Yep.
But a recurring issue I have with this game is a lack of visual feedback on anything. I don't
very much so.
I'm fine without a tutorial or anything, but you'll like shoot at enemies and they won't react.
Right.
It's like, okay, is my gun not doing damage? Do I need another type of weapon? And then it's like, do I just keep wasting ammo doing this? And then when they eventually die, then you learn your lesson.
Yes.
But on that shooting game, I also got to the end, was lost. You're probably seeing my footage on the screen. You're very frustrated. I ended up just leaving it, and which is a bummer because I had a lot of fun doing that part. And it turns out the very end, there's like the reactor, that like gold reactor with the cubes flying around it. Mm-hmm. And you have to keep shooting it. There's no feedback for you to know that happened. There's no hit animation or anything that I noticed. I'm sure if I watch back the footage, I'll see it eventually, something small. But that is a regular thing throughout this game. Like, there is no action feedback, which, okay, in the original, I get the number of animation frames you have is extremely limited. But in the remake, come on. I think that's just lazy. To a lay person that is ignorant of game development, it feels lazy.
Yeah.
To not have any kind of player feedback whatsoever. I get that the point of these games is difficulty and learning on your own. I fully support that. I love finding all the information through logs and everything. It's just unsatisfying. It doesn't feel good when you figure it out then. It's not my favorite thing.
So, okay, I still don't know. What does it do? If you accomplish the goal within cyberspace, which I thought I had, what happens?
It unlocks different doors,
okay,
or specific events throughout the map. And you probably didn't find it because one of the great things I have to say about these games is, wow, what a huge map. There's a ton to do on these maps. Mm-hmm. It is very large. And like I said, I watched a playthrough of the entire game, and I will say that almost every floor feels visually distinct. It is cool to know that if you looked at different screenshots of the game, you could immediately tell what level they were on. Just based on, like, there's an executive level you get to eventually, and there's, like, carpeted flooring everywhere. Stuff looks a lot more upscale. There's, like, cargo, and there's, like, a lot of lifts and stuff around. It's, like, a very, very vast, interesting map to look at. And it gets to be a lot. So you have to kind of keep track of a lot. So people that like the cartography aspect of some games, it's like fun to place markers to go explore something later. Or like you said, go do the hacking minigame and then find out what door that popped open or something.
Okay.
And populated throughout that, another mechanic I loved about it, there's a security level. Did you see this?
I shot a camera and I noticed it said, reduced to like 94%. So then I was destroying every camera and I got it down like 50%, but I don't know what that means.
First of all, neither do I, but I love it because it feels like I'm impacting the world around me. And the AI gets mad at you for doing it. And it's fun. It feels like you have a tangible impact on it. And it feels like maybe it's just a placebo, but it feels like it's making the area more safe for you to explore.
I'm looking right now just because I was curious. So I looked up just System Shock Cyberspace. I found a post back on systemshock.org back from 2006 where someone actually uploaded the original manual that came with the CD-ROM. And it still doesn't go into detail, like here's what happens. But tell you what, this just makes me miss game manuals.
Which, again, I think is another fault of the remake. I'm sorry. I am a little blown away because when this remake came out, I remember it being received incredibly positively.
Yes.
I said that when we'd chosen this game.
Right.
And to be clear, this was a game on my personal to-play list, you know?
Yep.
So this was a game I was excited for. And then I played this remake, and I did not feel much positive from it. I really didn't. And I feel like, yes, when you play the original System Shock, you had that game manual. But when you play this, I feel like I have nothing. Maybe I missed it in an options page or something before, but
I was looking.
Why would I read the game manual before I jump into a modern game? It's just not how people exist anymore. So I don't know. It is a little. It feels like this game was specifically made for people that love the first game, which is fine.
Yep.
But it was also they cut corners and then just use the excuse of, well, it's based on a game from 1994.
Right.
And it's
right.
like you can still change a little bit of quality.
Yeah, I do agree. Going back to one of your first sentiments, which was, they claim that they didn't improve the textures and the poly count, all because they wanted to maintain the original aesthetic. And okay, and that's your vision, fine. But you're calling this a remake, and that seems a bit of a stretch at this point.
The great things about remakes is that the original always exists.
Right. Right. Yeah. So
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wonder, and I don't have the side by side. I wonder if there is a direct comparison of like mechanics and the like, where it's like, all right, the original, it was this, and then the remake, it's this. Or
one thing I will say for sure, playing both, is that you do a ton more menuing in the original.
Oh, dude,
because
okay.
the screen space was limited.
Sure.
So there's a bunch of tabs and stuff all over. Those tabs are mostly preserved in the new one, but the screen is able to display a lot more information. So rather than having to menu for incredibly minor stuff, it is available to you. That said, I don't necessarily think it went far enough. But it's also a little baffling to me because, again, I only read the sentiment as far as the textures go. So I am applying this to the entire thing, so I may be exaggerating a little bit, and feel free to correct me. But as soon as the game starts, the opening cutscene for both of them, they change the character motivation very slightly to make the story more coherent in the remake. So it's not even like they were 100% remaking the game shot for shot.
Okay.
So like the very minor difference is in the beginning of the original. Well, you played the remake, so let's start there. In the beginning of the remake, you're a hacker, and you were specifically looking at one piece of augmented technology that you want to acquire.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tech? I forget the name of the company. But their security busts in, and then they recruit you to try to remove the ethics subroutines on the station AI of the station orbiting Saturn. And to entice you to do that, they offer you these cybernetic implants that you were attempting to steal in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
The original game, they're just kind of like hacking, and then they get caught, and then the police find them, and then they meet the same guy, and he's like, hey, if you hack this, I'll give you these enhancements, I guess. Like, you can have soldier enhancements. So it's like, that was just like your payout, but there was no like reveal that was something your character was searching for.
Right. Okay.
Incredibly minor.
Yeah.
I think a positive change.
Sure.
It ties your character more toward the story, but it's also like, okay, so you weren't afraid to enhance it. So why didn't you enhance all of it?
Right. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. I mean, there were some puzzles that I thought were kind of fun to figure out, like some of the logic puzzles with the electricity and whatnot, and you had to reroute certain things. And again, no tutorial, but I thought those were okay because they were somewhat intuitive, especially because you had a really good feedback loop immediate. So it wasn't like I'm going to try all these combinations and see if it works. You're watching like the electrical or the power feed kind of travel through the different lines, and you can see how the logic gates work. And so I thought that was good. And I'm sure those are probably identical to the original game. But that's a good way to do a puzzle. You don't have to, I don't need a pop-up window be like, all right, for this puzzle, your goal is to, no, I know what the goal is. I need to fill this grid up on the right, and I'm going to do that by flipping switches and just making it work. So that was good. I thought that was, a simple introduction of puzzles, but it didn't require a tutorial, which not everything does.
I agree, but I really liked that puzzle. I liked the the logic spinning the tiles and everything. I initially had thought that you had to light up all of the red stuff. You're seeing on my gameplay, and you're probably very frustrated. Which was fine. But then I think I was attacked in the middle of it. Oh. And then I no longer felt safe to take the time to do the puzzle. So I just kind of quit on it because I was like, I don't know what this is tied to anyway. This just seems like a tutorial. I'm going to move on. So when I played initially, I didn't take the time to finish that puzzle, even though I thought it was very fun, because I was constantly worried about being ambushed. So it's like it kind of took away from it, but that is something I did enjoy for the brief moment I explored it. And had I actually had a second more and wasn't paranoid, then I probably would have figured out, okay, it's like, so you're talking about the one where you had to fill up the meter?
Yes.
But I believe there was another one where you had to go from like, there were a bunch of red buttons, but you had to go from like the red square button to the other red square button.
Yes, there was that one too. Yep.
Button. So that's the one where I was attacked and I never took the time to finish it. That said, I really like it. I think it's fun to explore that. And like you said, it's self-explanatory when you take the time to figure it out.
Right. Yeah, especially just because it has that feedback right away. It's not trial and error. And I thought that was well done. And the last thing, and I really will end on this, even though it's a sour note, and you've already touched on it, just the game has quite a bit of combat, and not a single moment of it feels good.
Yeah.
Between throwing grenades, shooting various types of guns. I will take it back. The one time it felt okay was when I found an energy weapon that you kind of, think, okay, well, this is going to be good against anything with electrical components. And sure enough, it does. So I can take on like the more animatronic type enemies or the AI controlled enemies with one shot. Whereas with my pipe or with just a standard, kinetic weapon, just like a regular gun, takes several shots. Whereas the mutants or the human zombie, whatever's, hitting them with the energy weapon doesn't really do much damage. You need more of the physical damage. So I liked that, but that's such low hanging fruit. What game doesn't have something like that?
Right. We can blame that on 1994, right? Obviously.
Yep.
It's good that it's in there. This game, I will say, if you take nothing away from this conversation, here's the tagline: this game is extremely content rich.
Oh yes. Yeah.
100%. But yes, combat is weak, and this goes back to what I was saying. It's cumbersome because it shouldn't have to, but this game doesn't pause when you access the inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in the middle of combat, that might be necessary. You might not realize that you're in combat that you didn't maybe put frag grenades on your hotbar or something.
Yes. Yep.
And then you have to go in and manually choose them, and you're hurrying through it. And I also feel like enemies instantly know where you are. And I feel like this may be not the case if you destroy the cameras. That could be a placebo thing. I don't know. But it feels like enemies instantly know where you are, and you have to take time to find them. And because of the very poor textures, I found myself sometimes not immediately recognizing where enemies are.
Right.
Just because it's hard to see them in the environment. Adding on to that is another little gripe I had. But the enemy variety does not feel coherent to the narrative that's being told. You have zombies. You have the Borg. They're cyborgs that look just like the Borg. You have robots, different types of robots, security robots, and then like you have a little like single arm robot that like swivels and is like a swiveling turret that looks for you. Later in the game, there's like pterodactyls. There's like a gorilla tiger thing. It's just like it's all over the place. It's not an interesting enemy variety at all, and it feels like it's just pulling from every genre, which is fine. But like the game is centered around a rogue AI, so I'm expecting like cyborgs are great. You can have like the organic thing for the mechanics you mentioned, like a specific weapon types, and then you can have robots for other like EMP weapon types, and like that's fine. But they veer so much. The point of like the zombies in the first area makes no sense to me.
Right.
They could be cyborgs.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you might be thinking to yourself, this game might not have ticked all the boxes, but I would love to watch it in episodic format. Good news, because it was announced back in 2022 that System Shock will be getting a live-action television series written, at least partially, and directed by Greg Russo, who was one of the writers who actually penned the new Mortal Kombat movie. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't know if you saw it, but
You
it
can't
will
see my gritted teeth.
it will be debut. Now, I will. The movie actually had some really cool moments. It's
Get over here.
Okay, it had a really cool moment. But this is what really gets. It's going to be an original series for Binge. Have you heard of Binge?
I have not.
I haven't either. I guess it is. It's a streaming platform where I'm looking at it right now, streaming the world's most talked about shows and movies, but they tend to focus on gaming related content. I guess they're going to be getting a live action version of the game Driver, because who hasn't been asking, for that since the late 90s?
Right.
And yeah, at some point in the not too distant future, we can watch this unfold in live action on binge.com.au.
Okay. Two things about this really quickly, somewhat related to that. I don't think this is going to work for a show because it tells a really great narrative in the game because it's you seeking out all this information specifically and you are uncovering what happened in the station, which is where it excels.
Yeah, but
That
now
said,
we'll just have people talking
Right.
to the main character saying the exact same things.
Right. That said, or I would tell that as different flashbacks. Like they find something flashback, like the way Halo Reach is told. I'm sorry, not Reach, ODST. Oh my God, sorry. The other thing I don't like about this, I watched the whole playthrough. The ending seems incredibly unsatisfying to me. It doesn't
Nice.
really build to anything. It just feels like you beat a video game. So I don't think it would work well as a story. That said, two more things I just want to say about the game super quick. One of the reasons I did not like playing it at all is because I don't like the feeling of isolation, but for some people that's a big plus. It does a great job putting you in the world that it creates. So it feels very immersive. That would be a plus on most people's list who like this kind of thing. For me, it was not, but there's a big feeling of isolation. I don't know if you felt that as well. And then the other thing, I really liked the rogue AI in it. It was very cool that, it wasn't just, hey, I removed the ethical subroutines on the AI and that's why it's rogue. But the AI actually started to develop a god complex. They explain later in the game how it came to that conclusion. But it is really cool. I really like it as the main antagonist. It is super fun and interesting, and it has some great monologues that it interrupts you with and tries to get into your character's head a lot, which I thought was really fun. So all of that, to me, a one con, one pro, but they all contribute to a great overall atmosphere of the game, combined with very large map. It's super immersive. It's really great in immersion. I understand 100% why this game got popular. I understand why anybody would love it right now. Just wasn't for me, but I'm happy it exists.
Sure. You pen something for your closing thoughts, don't you?
What do you mean?
Do you put something down on paper or an outline of what you want to say to close? You're always so well spoken, especially right at the end. No?
I'm just used to complaining a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you've known
Gotcha.
me for a while. So.
Gotcha.
No, I literally just have a list of pros and cons I like,
Yeah.
and it's 2 words, rogue AI. It's just one of them. So
I do a lot of research actually during the podcast, which is why sometimes brand new stuff comes up. I have to disappoint all 18 of you who just got excited about the TV show. Apparently, Larry Cooperman of Night Dive Studios had an interview sometime last year where he was asked, hey, tell us about that System Shock live action TV adaptation. He said it did not pan out as intended.
I would say that this game works better as a game. There's some stuff that's just better as a game, and this is better as a game.
So we talked about this briefly with Chrono Trigger. I'm just going to ask you, I know the answer. Are you going to be playing any more System Shock?
I will not. But what I would like to say is something else that we said about System Shock, and I will ask you the same question. So first, will you play more System Shock?
No, but I am going to look up a playthrough like you did because I'm curious enough.
It's fun. I will also say this game looks very satisfying to optimize. I think seeing a speed run of this game would be really cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what I was saying before is we talked about this with Chrono Trigger. You asked me this, so maybe I'll ask you this. You can draw a line from from System Shock to what that we have today?
Ooh. Oh gosh, I don't.
One huge title comes to mind immediately.
The System Shock remake.
You nailed it. Yeah.
I see a lot of similarities. Probably too many.
Too good for. No, Resident Evil for sure.
Oh yeah,
The inventory system on Resident Evil is really huge. This maybe didn't invent this concept because this was also in titles like Marathon and other boomer shooters, but creating the world that is told through audio logs and those that perished before you, you can definitely draw to things like Dark Souls and other games that really heavily rely on lore left over.
You know, Horizon Zero Dawn actually was a huge proponent of that.
Sure. We're talking about interacting with the entire environment and turning into resources for yourself. I mean, very far down the line, you're getting The Last of Us with things like that. You know, and these are all in the middle of an action game with like a persistent world. Like time doesn't stop while you do all of this stuff. So I think a lot of games are shaped by this, and I think you will see whispers of all those games in a playthrough. I recommend going back if you like boomer shooters, if you like a kind of high atmosphere, isolated experience. This is a great sci-fi title. I would say it's very, very clunky to play the original, but don't expect a lot from the remake. So get it on sale if you're going to get it.
That is fair.
Your thoughts? I don't want to feel like I'm just dominating.
No. I think I've shared everything. I wish I enjoyed it more, and I wish I could go back in time and get 1994 Blue to play this, because I really think I would have loved it. But yeah, the remake, it's not doing it for me. There are some really cool things to love, but, and I've already talked about the whole carrot on the stick, there is not a big enough carrot on a short enough stick for this game for me to jump back in.
I agree. Yeah, watching a playthrough was great. I'm happy that I have that experience, but yeah, it wasn't a game for me.
Yep.
So,
oh, I did want to talk. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. We're an hour and a half. This is a tangential conversation. But you talked about inventory management. Have you seen that there are games now centered around inventory management? Have you heard of Backpack Hero?
No.
It's so fascinating. And I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with it. It is a game where you play as a little rodent and you have a tiny little backpack that expands over time. And there's backpack battles too. And the way you manage your inventory within the backpack, it determines your build. You'll get like a shield, and the shield will say +1 damage to any weapon adjacent to the shield, or you get a special gem and it says for every empty space below this gem you get 4 defense or something, and it's literally about inventory management. That's the entire game.
I would draw a line from System Shock to that, without a doubt.
Also, you go.
Sorry.
No, that's
missing
it.
the opportunity to not make that about Corvids.
Ooh.
Famous collectors of shiny things.
There you go. Well, I hope that in 90 minutes we've said all that we had to say. I hope we didn't break too many hearts with System Shock, because I know a lot of you love this game, and that is to no fault of your own. Hopefully we've been able to explain. Yeah. And I hope we could explain a little bit about why it just didn't work for us in this day and age.
Yeah, I agree completely. I want to say that I feel like I am 0-2 on your game so far, so there's nowhere to go but up. I'm just saying, karmically, right? You're eventually due to give me my favorite game ever.
Oh no. All right, so my next round just has to be Digimon games, is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying like okay, even if the next one I don't like there's got to be a huge payoff where it's like we trade in all the ones I didn't like for one I absolutely love that I've never played before.
I'm going to prove you so very wrong over the course of this podcast.
Great. I look forward to it. And that's it. Like, I was very excited when I chose System Shock. This was a game I genuinely have wanted to play for a long time, and I'm happy I found out I don't like it. But that's fine.
You know what I am really and truly excited about, though?
Huh.
Next week when we talk about Hi-Fi Rush.
Ooh, I'm excited. Yeah. I restarted it. I had only played an hour before.
Mm-hmm.
I restarted it. I got back to where I was before, so I'm all caught up and ready to explore something new. I just didn't want it to get in the way of talking about the game this week. So
Sure.
I'm so excited for Hi-Fi Rush. I hope that you are. I hope it's a good excited, but maybe it's bad excited. That's good too. We can have a good conversation about it.
No, I'm very excited. It's funny because in our Discord, which by the way, link is in the description, you should join us. Someone tonight just said, "Oh wow, I think it'd be really fun to try and watch BlueLizardJello play Hi-Fi Rush and match the combat with the rhythm."
Yeah,
and not knowing that we're playing it for the podcast next week.
We record these so far in advance. You know, we chose that game. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of a spoiler. And I was like, oh my gosh, we didn't even publish that episode yet. No. They don't know.
No, they're still going to have to wait about a little over a month to see that.
Yeah, they'll listen to it and forget. They're the ones that even said it. Oh.
They're gonna think it's because of them.
Suggestions in comments, suggestions in the Forgot to Save channel on the Discord. Corrections, please put them down. I said a lot of things about game development with no knowledge of it, so feel free to correct me.
That's right. He said it's easy and that every dev is lazy.
Yeah, they're getting laid off because of their inability.
Whoa!
I'm just kidding. Everything we say is engagement bait. If I'm ever wrong, it's because I did it on purpose.
Then we should have said that earlier, not at minute 93.
The best debate lords just take it back at the end. Ad hominem, ad hominem, ad hominem.
Well, I think on that note, we're going to say that is going to wrap up this episode of the Forgot to Save podcast. Like Stone said, please keep the suggestions coming. We are never going to run out thanks to you. Definitely join the Discord. We have a lot of fun there. We have a Forgot to Save channel. But thanks so much for tuning in and listen to us babble for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, Forgot to Save next week. And I hope, Blue, that you have a big list forming for the next round of recommendations.
Oh, it's going to be good.
Catch you
or
guys
it might not
on the
be.
next episode.